皆さんおはようございます。Thank you for joining me today. This is the easy Japanese news article of the day for January 29th, 2026. 2026年1月29日の今日の記事でございます。So for our article headline today, we have 群馬県のデパート、選挙の投票した人に商品を安くするサービス。Okay, so here's our vocabulary from the headline. We have departo, a department store. Senkyo is election. 投票 is vote. 商品 is products or goods. 安い is cheap or inexpensive. And サービス is a service, as in someone does a service for you. サービス. Okay, jumping back into our headline with that vocab, we have 群馬県のデパート. So 群馬県 is Gunma Prefecture, no something of it. デパート, so a department store in Gunma Prefecture. 選挙の投票, 選挙 election の投票 voting, so voting in an election. をした人. So, した is the past tense of する、した人. So, a person who has done or has voted in the election. 人に to that person. 商品を安くする. So, 商品 is a product or goods. を安くする. So, this is part of our grammar of the day. We have 安い, which is cheap.And 安くする is to make something cheap. So, making products cheaper. And then サービス. So, this サービス, this service here, all of this is describing what kind of service we have in this department store in Gunma Prefecture. So, a service wherein products are made cheaper for people who have voted in the election. 群馬県のデパート、選挙の投票をした人に商品を安くするサービス。A department store from Gunma Prefecture. A service that makes products cheaper for those people who have voted in the election. Okay, here is the rest of our vocabulary from the article. We have 証明 or 証明する. This is verification or proof. Or if we add that する, it turns it into a verb to verify something or to prove something. We have 書類, which is document or documentation. 写真 is a photograph. 一部 or 一部の. So 一部 is like a part. And we can also attach this to another noun using の. So 一部の. Something would be some of something or some of a whole or a part of a whole. We have 客, which is a guest or a customer. 値段 is price. 高い is expensive. 女性 is a woman or a female. And 話す is to speak or to talk. Okay, here is our grammar point from the day. I tried to make it as big as possible, but there were some bigger sentences in here and I kind of had to squeeze it in. So hopefully you can still read this furigana if you need it. But we have くする and くなる or になる and にする. So a lot of times when you see a なる or a する, you can switch between these to slightly change the meaning. So なる means to become, and する is to do, but also to make something in a certain way. So, and before the なる and する, depending on what kind of word it will be, there will either be a く or a に. So for いい adjectives like おいしい, 熱い, 楽しい, we drop the い and add this く なる. So 楽しい is fun, 楽しくなる be something gets fun or becomes fun. Wasn't previously, but now it is. And then if we were to switch that なる over to する, 楽しくする to make something fun. So once again, there's a change. It wasn't fun, now it is fun. But suru means someone is doing this action, doing something to make it fun, right? So that's the difference between naru and suru. And there are lots of grammars where you have a naru and a suru. And basically it's just, is someone doing this, or is it a change that just happens naturally? Or you can just kind of switch perspectives as well. And then for ni, we use ni for nouns or na-adjectives. So genki is a na-adjective, healthy or happy or energetic. Genki ni naru would be to become energetic or become healthy. You could also say genki ni suru. That person really makes me happy. Genki ni shite kureru. Genki ni suru. So remember, with our e adjectives, we're going to drop the e, add that ku. Then we can use naru or suru. For na adjectives or nouns, we use this ni, or ni naru, or ni suru. So let's look at some examples here. We have 私にはちょっと高いですかね。少し安くしていただけますか? So 私 me には, as for when it comes to me, 私にはちょっと高いです. So ちょっと is a little bit, 高い expensive. And then ですかね is ですかね is kind of like, it's just a little bit expensive for me. I'm kind of debating this. I think it is. That's what this ka ne is. We have that question ka, but with a ne. It's kind of like, you see the situation I'm in? I'm kind of debating whether this is a little too expensive for me. And then 少し, a little bit. 少し安くして. So once again, we have yasui. So yasui is cheap or inexpensive. And that's an e adjective. So we drop that e, u suru. So yasuku suru, to make something less expensive or cheaper. And then that suru is in the te form here, attached to itadakemasu ka, which is a very polite way to make a request. So can I please have you make this a little bit cheaper? 少し安くしていただけますか? So overall, it's a little expensive for me. Could you make it a little cheaper? Okay. Then we have 食べたら元気になるよ. So 食べたら, this is 食べる in the tara grammar form here. So たら is if or when you do this. So 食べたら, if you eat or when you eat. 元気になるよ. So 元気 is, this could be you're sick or you're just feeling down on yourself, but 元気になる would be you'll be better or feel better, right? So here we have a naru, but we could also use a suru, which would be something that makes you feel better. But here we're just, this feeling better happens as a consequence of eating, so 元気になる. And then we have 思春期を迎えたら背が高くなると思ったけど、そうではなかった. So 思春期 is that special time. Speaking of changes with naru and suru, 思春期 is that special time in your life when you go through a lot, puberty. 思春期を迎えたら. So 迎える literally means to greet, but it can also be like when you go through something, even if you don't want to. So 思春期を迎える would be to go through puberty. And then 迎えたら, so たら, once again, this if or when. So when I went through puberty, 背が高くなる. So 背 is your height and 高い is tall. So 背が高くなる would be become tall. Once again, an e adjective here with ku naru. So this isn't someone making you tall, but it's a change that just happens, which we'll use naru rather than suru. So 背が高くなる. I will become tall. と思った. So と, this is a quote connected to our verb here, 思う. So something we are thinking, and this to tells us what we are thinking, kind of like a quote. So what is it we're thinking? All of this stuff before the to. So, and then 思った or 思う is in the past tense, 思った. So I thought that when I went through puberty, I would get taller. And then けど, however, or but. そう, something when something is the case or it turns out to be so, you can use そう。そうではなかった. So では is just a little fancier a version of じゃ. It's just a little fancier. So そうじゃなかった is also fine, but this sounds a little bit more like it's in a book. そうではなかった. So 思春期を迎えたら背が高くなると思ったけど、そうではなかった. I thought that I would get taller once I hit puberty, but that was not the case. It did not happen.
衆議院選挙の投票をした人のためのサービスを群馬県高崎市のデパートが始めました。投票したことを証明する書類や投票所の写真を見せると一部の商品が 10% 安くなります。このほかレストランなどで飲み物のサービスを受けることができます。選挙の間はいつもより客が少なくなるため7年前から行っています。買い物に来た女性は物の値段が高くなっているので少しでも安くなればいいですと話していました。デパートはこのサービスを選挙の投票日の次の日まで行います。
All right, let's jump right into our article.
衆議院選挙の投票をした人のためのサービスを群馬県高崎市のデパートが始めました。
Okay, so we have 衆議院選挙. So 衆議院, I should have put this in our vocab list, but we have seen it the past few days, or a few days this week. So 衆議院 is the lower house in the Japanese politics. That is currently, they're having an election for it. So 衆議院選挙 would be the election for the lower house, or the House of Representatives. の投票, so 投票 voting for the election for the lower house. をした人, so した past tense of する connected to 人. And in Japanese, when we want to describe a noun, we just attach stuff to it. With a verb, we can just attach it right to the noun. So a person or people, hito, that have voted in the election for the lower house. And then hito no tame would be for this person. This tame is a grammar meaning for or on behalf of. And then because this is also a noun, we can attach another noun to it using no again. So hito no tame no service. So no service. Service is sabisu. So a service for people who have voted in the election. O, so we're doing something to this service here. Gunma ken Takasaki shi. So Gunma Prefecture, Takasaki City. Great place if you haven't been there. Check it out. Takasaki shi no departo. So a department store in Takasaki City, Gunma Prefecture. Ga. So this is the thing that is doing the action, the department store ga hajimemashita. Hajimeru, to begin or start something in the past tense. So the department store in Takasaki City, Gunma Prefecture has started a service for people who have voted in the lower house election.
投票したことを証明する書類や投票所の写真を見せると一部の商品が 10% 安くなります。
Okay. 投票したこと. So 投票した. Once again, the past tense of する here with した. So voted in the past tense. And then 投票したことを証明する. So here we have 証明する, which is to prove or to verify. And if we want to verb another verb in Japanese, we have to turn that into a noun first. And that's what this koto is. Koto is literally a thing. So proving the thing that you have voted. And then this is attached to 書類や投票所の写真. So 書類 is documents. Ya, we're giving a list here, non-exhaustive list. 投票所の写真. So 投票所, this is 投票, voting. Then this 所 here is location. の写真. So 写真 is a photograph. So a document proving that you have voted, or a photograph of the place where you voted. 投票所の写真を見せると. So 見せる is to show. And then this to is upon, or kind of another if, depending on the sentence. Here, upon showing documentation proving that you voted, or a picture of the voting location. Once you do that, 一部の商品, so 一部の some, and 商品 products. So some products が they're going to do something. 10% 安くなります. So 10%, 10%. 安くなります. This is our grammar of the day, right? So 安い, cheap or inexpensive. くなる becomes inexpensive. 安くなります. So altogether, that is upon showing a document proving that you voted, or a photograph of the voting location, some products will become 10% cheaper.
このほか、レストランなどで飲み物のサービスを受けることができます。
Okay. このほか. ほか means other. So このほか would be other than this, or in addition to what we just talked about in our previous sentence. このほか. レストランなどで. So レストラン is restaurant. など is or places like restaurants. レストランなどで. So in those locations. 飲み物. 飲み物 is drinks. 飲み物のサービス. Service. A service of drinks. を受ける. So 受ける is to receive. So サービスを受ける. When you receive some type of service, you use サービスを受ける. And if we attach ことができる or ことができます to a verb, that means you can. So in addition to that 10% discount you get, you can also receive a drink service, or a service for drinks, at a restaurant or the like.
選挙の間はいつもより客が少なくなるため、7年前から行っています。
Okay, so 選挙の間は、選挙 election の間. This is a space or a period of time, or during. So during the elections, は. So we're kind of giving our framework with that は, our main idea. いつもより. So いつも is always, and より is more than or less than, depending on what verb or adjective comes after it. So more than normally, or more than always. 客が少なくなる. So 客 is a customer. が少ない. So once again, we have our grammar here with くなる. 少ない is few, and 少なくなる would be to decrease. Becoming more few, if that makes any sense at all. So the number of customers decreases more than usual during the election. And then that's connected to tame here. Tame by itself can be because or due to. Because there are less customers than usual during elections. 7年前から or 7年前から from or starting with から 7 years ago or 7 years prior. 行っています. So 行う is to perform or to do something. So you'll notice this kanji is the same as iku, to go, but it can also have another verb, 行う, which is to perform a service or something like that. And that is in the ている form here because they are still doing it. They started it 7 years ago, but it's still ongoing. So they'll use that ています。
買い物に来た女性は、物の値段が高くなっているので、少しでも安くなればいいですと話していました。
Okay, so 買い物に来た女性は、so 買い物 shopping に来た。So 来る in the past tense 来た。And then this に here is to. So came to shop. 買い物に来た。女性. So this is all describing the type of woman we're talking about here. A woman who came for shopping. 買い物に来た女性は main topic here. 物の値段が so 物 things 物の値段 be the price of things or just the price of everything. 物の値段が高くなる. See, man, I looked up this grammar and I saw there were a couple times, but this grammar is everywhere in this article. So we have 高い 高くなる. So once again, it becomes expensive. 高い is expensive. 高くなる. Become expensive. Then we have ている. So things are becoming expensive or they are being expensive. We're currently still in that state, right? So 高くなっているので, and ので is one of the ways we can say because. So because things are getting really expensive, 少しでも. So 少し is a little bit. And でも, when we attach it to things, sometimes it can mean like even. So 少しでも, even just a little bit. 少しでも安くなれば. Once again, 安くなる. So 安い cheap. 安くなる to become cheap. 安くなれば. This ba is an if. 安くなれば if it becomes cheap. 安くなればいいです. So ba form with e is very common. If something happens, it's good. It's basically a way to say, I hope it does, right? So even if it's just a little bit, I hope it becomes cheaper. So because things are getting expensive, right? And then this is all a quote. So that quote tells us all that stuff before is a quote. と話していました. So 話す to speak or to say, and then ていました. She was saying this when we talked to her.
デパートはこのサービスを選挙の投票日の次の日まで行います。
Okay. デパートは so the department store は main topic or framework here. このサービスを so their department store is going to do something to this service. That's what that O tells us. 選挙の投票日 so 選挙 is the election. の投票日 is 投票 voting and 日 day. If you look at the kanji, this one just means day. So the voting date. の次の日. So 次 is next and 日 is day once again. So the day after the voting day for elections, まで. So まで is up until a certain point. And then we have 行います. 行う again to perform or to carry out. So the department store will be carrying out this service until the day after the voting day for the election. And I believe they mean the last day you can vote. So 次の can also be instead of next, you can kind of translate it as the day after or something after, right? The next station, 次の駅, or the station after, 次の駅, right? Cool. I wish I could get some discounts when I vote, but hey, I guess we should be voting anyways. And that is it for our article today. Thank you so much for being here. If this is your first time here and you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe and hit that bell notification so you're notified of these daily weekday uploads. And keep up on your Japanese study. Hope the things are going well. 本当にありがとうございました。また明日。